So where does each team that's previously won a national championship in college football stand right now? I'm about to set the record straight. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day, so if you like college football, this is the YouTube channel for you. Don't forget, guys, Golden Blue Dude does have a sponsor. It's called Tri-State Wood Sketch, and you can find them on the internet at www.tristatewoodsketch.com. He does amazing work. He can do any shape or size. All you have to do is send him the picture that you want on there. If you want a logo on there, done. If you want him to do a family pic, done. Or if you just want a pic of yourself, done. Done. And if you mention that Golden Blue Dude sent you, he'll take 20% off. I wanted to set the record straight on where each team that's previously won a national championship sits right now. Now, I'm not counting Alabama, Clemson, or LSU. I'm going out about 5 years or so. Beyond that, where do they stand right now? I'm not counting the Ivy Leagues like Princeton, Yale, Harvard. They're in the FCS, so I'm not going to talk about them. I'm talking about everybody else. And I'm also not going by claimed. I'm going by the actual list that I looked at online. The actual national champions or co-champions for each year. So don't bug me with, well, we claimed this year, we claimed. I don't care. I'm going by the actual list. The first group I want to mention, not going to happen. I think these three teams are not going to win another national championship unless something drastically changes. The first team, well, the first ever national champion, Rutgers. And it was because there weren't very many teams. Ever since then, they've sucked. Something massive would have to change for Rutgers to win another national championship. Next one on the list, Army. Their last national championship, 1945. They need to get into a Power 5 conference if they want any shot of winning another national championship. Going along with that sentiment, BYU, they also need to get in a Power 5 conference. Their last national championship, 1984. So still in recent college football history, but they desperately need to get in a Power 5 if they want any shot of winning another national championship. Now, these next set of teams, I think they're at least 40 years away from being relevant as far as being contenders for a national championship. Their programs are just too far gone right now. The first one, Minnesota, they won theirs in 1960. Minnesota had a 10-win season a couple years ago, but that's about it. They haven't been doing good at all recently. Next up, Syracuse. They won their last national championship, 1959. Same situation, not doing good. They need to upgrade their facilities. That's one of their biggest problems, and they're in Upper New York. Illinois, 1927, yeah, at least 40 years away. Same thing, upgrade your facilities. I think you got a decent coach, but you're a long ways away from being relevant. Maryland, 1953, they need a whole new stadium. That Bird Stadium looks terrible. Maryland has a lot of things they need to fix right now. Pitt, 1976, when you share a professional football stadium and can't fill it, that's not a good sign, Pitt. And your recruiting needs to get better. Last on this list, Cal, 1921, they need upgrades all the way around. They're not doing terrible, but I just don't see them being relevant for a long time. The next category, headed in the wrong direction. First one on this list, Michigan. Their last national championship, 1997. Jim Harbaugh is stuck in the mud, and Michigan is just sitting there idling, even actually rolling a little backwards. To go along with Michigan, Nebraska, also co-national championships in 1997. Nebraska is definitely headed in the wrong direction. Scott Frost has turned out to be a big fat bust. Tennessee is next on this list, 1998. So these teams are kind of clumped together. Tennessee is trying to find the right coach, but they haven't done so yet. Will it be Josh Heupel? I don't know. Auburn is next. Last national championship, 2010, more recently, but Gus Malzahn is gone. Auburn was heading in the wrong direction, but will this new coach put them back in the right direction? Auburn has these weird years where they come out of nowhere and they're great. We'll see if that happens. TCU, their last national championship, 1938. Gary Patterson did have TCU headed in the right direction, and then the last 3 or 4 years, they've kind of went backwards. If he can turn it back around, they can get out of this category. Florida is next on this list. Their last national championship, 2008. I know they got to the SEC championship last year, but they ended up with 4 losses with one of the best offenses in the nation last year. I think it's time to start looking at other coaches because Dan Mullen is not very good offensively minded. Michigan State is next on this list. 1952 was their last national championship, and they're a dumpster fire right now. They are headed in the wrong direction. But I do think they have the facilities, and if they could get the right coach, they could turn this around. Last on this list, Texas. Texas is not back, but they are headed back in the wrong direction. They just fired Tom Herman and hired Steve Sarkisian. I think that right there was a bad move. I think that's still headed in the wrong direction. Great facilities, headed in the wrong direction. Next category, trending in the right direction. First up on this list, Washington. Their last national championship, 1991. They seem to be getting better and better each year. The problem is Chris Peterson did leave, but I do expect Washington to compete and probably win the Pac-12 North this year. Georgia Tech, last national championship, 1990. I think Georgia Tech is headed in the right direction. They got away from that triple option. I think Georgia Tech can get to a bowl this year. I think they're trending in the right direction. Florida State, last national championship, 2013. And Jimbo got out and left them in shambles. But Mike Norvell, he has Florida State headed in the right direction. This is another team that I think could make a bowl in 2021. Notre Dame, their last national championship, 1988. Brian Kelly definitely has this team headed in the right direction. The problem is offensively, they need to get it together offensively. They have great defenses year after year, but they can't find the right offensive recipe. Ole Miss, their last national championship, 1960. Lane Kiffin has a great offense installed at Ole Miss. If they could somehow find some defense, Ole Miss could be a very dangerous team. Arkansas, I know they only had 3 wins last year, but they looked like a good team. I expect Arkansas to get more than 3 wins this year, get to a bowl, build on that. They just extended Sam Pittman. Arkansas headed in the right direction. Iowa next on this list. Last national championship, 1958. I expect them to be contenders in the Big Ten West. They have a great home field advantage. Yes, I think they're headed in the right direction. Colorado, their last national championship, 1990. They had a pretty good season last year. I'm kind of iffy on Colorado this year. I think they'll take a step backwards, but as of right now, they are headed in the right direction. Staying in the Pac-12, UCLA, their last national championship, 1954. Chip Kelly recruiting well. I think UCLA has a great shot of getting to a bowl and building upon that. They're headed in the right direction. Stanford, their last national championship, 1926. They had a pretty good year last year. They've actually had a pretty good decade. And if they could build upon this past year, they could be headed in the right direction. So I have them in this category. Penn State, their last national championship, 1986. Last year sucked for Penn State, but if you look at James Franklin overall situation at Penn State, a lot of double-digit win seasons at Penn State. I think they are headed in the right direction. I think they have the right coach. Last on this list, USC, last national championship, 2004. They just need to be more consistent. They are recruiting at a high level. They got really close to winning the Pac-12 and being undefeated, finishing the season. Couldn't finish the job. If they can get more consistent, I do think USC is headed in the right direction. I think there's 2 former national champions that are on the cusp. The first one, Miami, their last national championship, 2001. They have a lot of great pieces at Miami. Their schedule isn't terrible. It's doable. But their first test is Alabama. If De'Aaron King can get 100% healthy, you're catching Alabama when they lost a lot of talent on offense, a lot of experience. I know they reload. This is a younger team. You could catch Alabama at the right time, and that would put Miami firmly in the playoff conversation. Texas A&M is the other team. Their last national championship, 1939. Texas A&M was oh so close to getting to the playoffs. I think Texas A&M is a pretty good team. It's just, can Jimbo Fisher get Texas A&M over the Alabama hump and into the playoffs? You guys are on the cusp. This last category, legitimate title contenders right now. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not talking about Alabama, LSU, and Clemson, too recent. But the first team that's on the legitimate title contender right now category, Georgia, definitely. Their last national championship, 1980. This might be one of their best rosters they've ever had. The only thing that stands in the way of Georgia and a national championship is Kirby Smart not overthinking game situations. If he can avoid that, Georgia has a legitimate shot of winning a national championship this year. Next up on this list, Oklahoma, their last national championship, 2000. Look, Oklahoma will have one of the best offenses in the nation this year with Spencer Rattler. Alex Grinch has that defense looking really good. Everything is there for Oklahoma to win a national championship. That's why I think they are a legitimate title contender this year. The last team on this list, Ohio State. Last national championship, 2014. Ohio State's been consistent. They recruit really well. Fantastic facilities. They're kind of like Alabama. They can reload. Not quite at that level, but Ohio State definitely has the talent to be a legitimate national championship contender this year. Let me know what you think of these categories and the teams in each categories. I want to hear your input. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.